Book TV recently went to Capitol Hill to ask Representative John Garamendi of California what was on his reading list.
A lot of things. First of all, there's a lot of papers I have to read, various reports, some classified, others. So there's the ongoing work as chairman of the Readiness Subcommittee, which has about $290 billion of taxpayer money to spend. That keeps me busy. However, there's all the other things I want to read. A lot of history. Right now I'm working my way through the disagreement between the Habsburgs and the Ottoman Empire, 400 years of war. And there's a great book called Enemy at the Gate, which basically details every one of the battles and basically centers around the siege of Vienna. Why do I need that? Well, if you want to understand Turkey, you better understand the history of the Ottoman Empire and the relationships between that and the Western Europe. Also, I like to go back into the Roman history. Right now I have a book called The Death of Caesar, which deals with that particular period of time, the intrigues. We're not quite into that kind of political intrigue, but it's useful to understand what was happening during the period of time when Caesar was assassinated. What were the politics? What were the intrigues of it? So looking at that. And then came across a book. The Library of Congress has a wonderful program for members and guests. We look at a book. And David McCullough was there a couple of weeks ago and brought to us a book called The Pioneers. And it's really the settlement of Ohio and the Indiana area. So we'll work my way through that. Once again, it may be useful to understand the history in detail, to understand the politics of that part of America. My work also on the Armed Services Committee and the readiness, we're talking about, is the military ready for the tasks that they have? Turns out that in many cases they're not because of logistics. There are a whole series of books that were written about the Pacific War with Japan, and it turns out that logistics was a major underlying issue. And so there's one book out there that's particularly interesting, and that's the Guadalcanal fight, and it's called Neptune's Infernal. I've gone through it once. I'm going to go back through that and another one written by the same author that deals with the rest of the Pacific War. Turns out logistics were one of the key underlying factors of success. I need to know that because right now we're talking about big power competition, China, Russia, logistics. That's what I need to work on as chairman of the subcommittee of readiness. So those are the kind of things. And then when I get so sick and tired of all of that, which I will, I pick up Shakespeare Sonnets and work my way through them one at a time and really trying to understand what he was talking about. Very, very interesting. Start with the first one, end with the last one. You're talking about the transition of human life from being young to being old. I don't intend to be old, but it's good to understand. Very, very helpful just to sit back and go, what did the bard have in mind when he wrote the last sonnet? Fascinating. So that's my summer reading. Unfortunately, all of the reports from the congressional research, all of the reports from various things such as the Council on Foreign Relations, they're going to occupy more time than these other books, unfortunately.
Watch the responses of other members of Congress by searching "What Are You Reading?" at booktv.org.